U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve, as well as a digital asset stockpile that will hold cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin. Both the strategic Bitcoin reserve and the digital asset stockpile will consist of coins the government obtains as part of criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceedings. The strategic Bitcoin reserve could purchase additional BTC, although the order only permits acquiring additional Bitcoin through budget-neutral strategies that have no incremental costs on American taxpayers. The executive order authorizes Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to develop these strategies. Meanwhile, the digital asset stockpile, which will hold altcoins, will not be acquiring any additional assets as per the executive order. In an appearance on CNBC, Scott Bessent said that the first part of the plan is for the U.S. government to stop selling the cryptocurrencies it holds, and then consider any potential new acquisitions.
I think that the Bitcoin reserve, before you can accumulate it, you have to stop selling it. So what we have now is from a seized asset pool. I wasn't there when it happened, but I believe what happened was about 500 million of Bitcoin was seized. Half of it was sold, and what we have now, say it's over 10 billion, 10, 12 billion, that's all through appreciation.
The cryptocurrency market's immediate reaction to the news was bearish, with both Bitcoin and altcoins dropping in value following the announcement. The bearish reaction certainly makes sense for altcoins, as the fact that the digital asset stockpile won't be making any purchases is definitely bearish given the market's expectations after Donald Trump first mentioned Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano in a Truth Social post. Another bearish hit for the altcoins that were specifically mentioned by Trump came only about a week after, when Trump's AI and crypto czar David Sachs stated,
Well, the president just mentioned the top 5 cryptocurrencies by market cap, so I think people are just reading into this a little bit too much. He just mentioned the top 5.
However, the bearish reaction in the Bitcoin market is more interesting, as the strategic Bitcoin reserve will be authorized to acquire additional BTC. Perhaps the market is reacting to the uncertainty introduced by the requirement of the reserve only being allowed to acquire Bitcoin using budget-neutral strategies, which will limit its purchasing capabilities. So, we're unlikely to see a Michael Saylor-style Bitcoin buying spree from the US government. Another reason why the cryptocurrency market has been bearish despite the strategic Bitcoin reserve and the digital asset stockpile is the White House Crypto Summit, which took place on March 7th. Although the Crypto Summit was attended by major figures from the crypto industry, such as Michael Saylor, Brian Armstrong, and Brad Garlinghouse, it resulted in no major announcements. This certainly hasn't helped the bearish bias in the cryptocurrency market. Moving forward, the frequency and scale of Bitcoin purchases made by the strategic reserve will likely have a big impact on price action, provided that the Secretaries of Treasury and Commerce can actually come up with budget-neutral ways to add BTC to the reserve. Another way in which the strategic Bitcoin reserve could impact the market would be by selling its assets. According to the executive order, the reserve would be allowed to sell its assets, but only under specific conditions. These conditions include returning funds to victims of crimes, supporting law enforcement operations, and sharing assets with state and local law enforcement. The United States is currently estimated to hold around 198,000 Bitcoin per data from Bitcoin treasuries. This is just under 1% of the maximum supply of Bitcoin. As per the executive order recently signed by Trump, the government will conduct a full accounting of its cryptocurrency holdings, so additional information about their crypto stash could become public. Since 2014, the United States government has sold just over 195,000 Bitcoin that was seized from various criminal operations, such as dark web marketplaces. The proceeds from these sales were roughly $366.5 million. If the government held onto all of the Bitcoin it has sold, their BTC stash would be worth $16 billion, which would be 48 times more than the proceeds of the sales. Despite the negative price action in the short term, the recent announcements from the White House are almost certainly bullish for Bitcoin over the long term. Not only will the United States not be selling the substantial quantities of Bitcoin it has under its control, but it might potentially boost the market by making acquisitions.